welcome to strength video number 2. This one we're going to do, I think, things that are maybe a little bit more challenging, but still we can take it down a notch or up a notch as needed. Well, there's this thing wants to adjust. So, first we're going to start off abs, of course. For these, we're going to start with the feet hip width distance. So heels in line with sit bones, and I'm trying to get kind of tall up on my sit bones, so I'm lifted through my chest, lifted across my collarbones, shoulders relaxed and down, and I'm going to hold on right there at the space a little bit below my knees to the sides, and I'm just going to start to roll back. So when I roll back, I want to feel my tail getting longer towards my heels, my lower spine going towards the floor, and then come back up, lifting up tall, rolling back, getting that scoop in the low belly, and lifting back up. And I can use my arms for help and support. And I want to feel my feet activating, pressing down to the floor. If you don't need the arms, you can let the arms go forward. Really getting that scoop though. So when you start to kind of like arch away from the floor instead of drawing acceptance down towards the floor, that's too far. So that's just how you know that's a little too far. So if you get more comfortable, more confident here, you can go lower. If the feet start to pop up off the floor, you'll feel that they'll want to come away from the floor. That's also how you know a little bit too far. Stay active down through your feet, pressing your heels away from your hips. And now I want you to find a place where you're not too much in a strain, because that's not going to be any fun, but where you can slide back, get that scoop in the belly, that pulling up and in with your belly button. And we'll add the arms and the upper abs. So one arm at a time is going to lift up. And if you don't feel this, go back, lower, so you do. And then we're going to take this into a little bit of a spiral. Spiraling to one side, up, circling to the other side. I'm trying to keep my legs very active so my knees don't want to fold in every time I move, so I can really get as much of this as possible from my obliques. Staying that upper ab curl as well. Last one right. And last one to the left, and then curl yourself back up. All right, lifting up tall through the chest. Now we're going to curl down all the way. And add a little bit more upper and lower body working together. So we're going to start off with a boat. We're going to lift ourselves up into the boat all in one. So this is quite challenging, but I want you to feel when you bring your arms up to this side, you're going to feel this drawing in. So your arms help you draw in and lengthen down. And the same thing through the legs. When the legs go out and up, they're going to help you find that same curl and tuck of the pelvis. So with your arms up, we'll just do the upper part first, drawing the arms in, wrapping in and down, curling up, keep that space between the chin and the chest. Again, if you feel like you're wrapping around your rib cage. And when we start to add the legs, you're going to start that movement, and then you're going to start to draw the legs up, coming up into the boat. Everything drops down. Arms scoop in. Lift your legs, come up. Everything down, a couple more. Also in Pilates, this is called teaser. And generally considered to be very difficult, so if you're having a hard time with it, it's because it's a very hard movement. 2 more. Last one. And then you can hold hold here in your boat, lifting up through your chest, scooping out through your belly. Or take it into a lower boat. Get pulling everything in, shoulders down. High boat, low boat, high boat, low boat. Knees can be bent for any of this. That'll make it a little bit more accessible if hamstrings are tight. One more high, one more low, and lower down. Moving into side lying series. So for these, the setup is super important. So if you have a mat that you're using, that's helpful so you can line up along the edge of your mat. So I want to make sure I'm not kind of rolled onto this side of my hip or this side of my hip. I want to be right on the edge of my hip. So if you had like a straight side seam, you'd see that going straight. And then the legs will come forward about halfway. And now when you're setting this up, a couple things to be aware of. We're going to reach really super long through the side of the body. And even more advanced, you can keep this lifted up off the floor, which I'm playing with now, but it's challenging, so feel free to keep that down, but just staying active through the side of the body. Some people love to have their head down on their arm. I like to go this way, so either is fine. And then hand can be anywhere in front of you to keep you aware of if you're moving here. That'll be helpful and help you balance. More advanced would be the hand up over your head. So when I'm setting this up, I want to make sure these points of my hips are not turned away from each other. So I'm not going to be starting to turn them away. I want them always to feel like they're like looking at each other. So that same sensation of finding that place about halfway between drawing it together and keeping them towards each other. So to start, I think I'll just put my hand here because I think that'll help everybody see what I'm doing a little bit more. And so the whole point of these is to not rock around, to try to use the stability to stay super long and keep this coming from the hip. So this is going to be felt a lot in the glute med. So I'm going to extend my left leg up just an inch or two above my right leg, and I'm going to reach it forward, and I'm going to reach it back. Back should be harder. Notice I want to arch my back to come forward, but that's not the movement. The movement is however much your leg will go back, keeping your ribs in the same spot, not letting the ribs flare in your back arch. So hands in front can be really helpful because you can start to feel that when your ribs start to go forward. So you can do that. Sometimes I'll just touch my ribs. So wherever works for you, balance in front. Leg goes forward, leg goes back. The back, you should really feel your glute having to work, hamstring having to work, and the balance might become more of an issue. So having the arm in front will help with the balance. And again, when it's more challenging, slow it down. That's a valuable time, so use that. The other thing to notice is as your leg goes forward and back, if it gets further away from the floor and then closer to the floor, it should be exactly the same height the whole time as it goes forward and as it goes back. So that's the precision. Last one. And then come to the center and we're going to do hot potato. First we'll take a version of hot potato, a little smaller version, just going up and down. So I'm going to flex my toes more towards the ceiling. I'm going to bring my heel in front of my right ankle, up, behind my ankle, and up. I'm not actually touching the floor. I'm going in that direction. And your up might be like this high. Everyone's up is different. So if you have the range to go high, you can go high, as long as it doesn't make you wiggle around and shift around. So find the control of the movement, and we'll just go up and up, forward and back with the other foot. You're going to keep the toes up, leaning through your heel. Keep that sensation of pulling in the low belly, lengthening through your side body, not flaring your ribs. Last two. Last one. And then come back, foot over other foot for the bicycles. So you're going to draw your knee towards your chest, press your heel back and extend long through your leg. Forward, knee towards chest, press back, extend. And this is another one you're probably going to want to rock forward and reach your rib cage out as you try to go back. The back should be pretty hard, so you try to get as much hip extension as you can and really press with your glute and your hamstring, and it might be small. And always, again, parallel to the floor, not getting higher up or lower down, just trying to stay in that same line. 2 more this direction. And then we'll switch and go the opposite direction. So I'm going to lengthen forward. I'm going to send the leg back long. I'm going to bring my heel towards my butt. And then with it bent, draw the knee towards the chest. Out, forward, long back. And the back should be the hardest, so slow that down. Pay attention. Heel towards the butt and move forward. Last 2. Last 1. And then we'll extend out long, flex your foot, little circles. Ideally you can feel this, almost like you can feel it right up in here, like it's starting in here, and that's what's drawing the circle. And then switch directions, circle the other direction. And bring it down. You can take your hand, bring it in. This one, I have a hard time with that hip bringing the foot to the floor, but if you can, just set the foot to the floor. Inner thigh lifts with your other leg. I'm just trying to make it not a jerky movement, a smooth movement. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll take a little break before we go to the other side. So traditionally in Pilates, when you do these, usually roll onto your belly and do some stuff with the legs here. Simple, do some swimming and maybe some transitional beats, they're called. So arms come forward, legs go back. So for swimming, we're just going to start by lifting our opposite arm and leg. So pressing the hips down towards the floor, relax your head towards the floor, and then just lifting right leg and left arm, left leg, right arm, just back and forth, kind of keeping your gaze towards the top of your mat or whatever you're practicing on, so we're not doing much with the neck. Trying to keep, again, from twisting, trying to keep this balanced, even though you're using these opposite arm and leg. And then we'll hold and lift both up and both down. And a couple more times. And then we're going to hold and we're going to swim. Keep the shoulders plugged in. And looking just a little bit forward in front of you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, lower down. Let your hands make a little pillow. Forehead goes towards your little pillow. And we'll lift both legs up and just draw the heels in. Kind of kick the feet to each other. Transitional beats. Good. Lower down. To the other side. I'm going to switch on over this way. And line up my body again, all the way against my mat. I'm knowing that I'm in the right place. Ribs not rolling down, not rolling back. Ribs drawing in, flat and straight. maybe adding a little lift or space here, or just creating the sensation of getting as long as possible through the sides of the body. Legs come forward about halfway. Notice if one hip wants to roll in or out. Try to keep that sensation of pulling in through the low belly, front of the hip, looking at each other. And then from here you can add on lying down. A lot of people find this more comfortable. I just find this more comfortable for whatever reason. Or bringing your hands where it makes sense. In front of you is probably good for balance at the beginning, for sure, and also keep you aware, a little bit more aware if you're rocking into that form. So lift your right foot up, a couple of inches above your left foot, not super high, and bring it forward. I'm flexing forward and pointing back. I'm going to keep the same height in both directions. As minimal movement as I can through the rest of my body. Again, finding a little bit more availability to slow down when you go back, because the back is probably going to be harder. This side is a little easier for me, so not as wiggly on this side. Probably have the same thing. One side's a little bit more challenging than the other, but still making sure that you're staying scooped up, zipped in. Do two more. And then come back to center with your hot potato or version of hot potato. So point your toes up towards the ceiling, your heel down. Heel's going to go in front, up, and back, up. Front, up, back, up. And again, keeping everything else in the center. Noticing if you start to turn away. Really feel that in the glute med. Again, the up doesn't have to be super high, just whatever makes sense for you. A little bit forward, a little bit back without rocking, staying pulled in, along through the left side body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to center. Now bicycles, knee towards your chest. Extend your leg back long. That's harder. Come forward, leg long, knee towards your chest. Extend it back. Again, the back should be much harder, so slow that down. Notice if there's a lot of movement in your ribs, if you're arching your back. See if you can draw in. We did the first video doing the kickbacks without arching the back. This is good prep for this. Right, so you can find that same availability to extend through the front of the hip and extend the leg back instead of always only doing that by arching your back. And then we'll switch directions. So hamstring curl, heel towards butt, knee comes forward to its chest, leg extends out, back, and forward. And again, these might be smaller, they don't have to be huge. The precision is the most important thing. When it does get to a challenging point, try not to just blow past it and go quicker. That's never going to be how you're going to improve. I think it's the challenging part. Slow it down and really try to figure it out. Try to accept it. Make it work for you. Alright, couple more. If your hip feels like it's going to fall off, that's normal. Mine feels about that way right now. And then we still got to do the circles. So extend it out, flex your foot, try to make a perfect circle. Very often this is a very unique and different shape. So keep it that 2 inches or so higher than your other foot. Keep pulling in, pulling the ribs in, squeezing the belly in, stacking hip over hip. Anything to distract you, circle. Other direction. along through the left side body, maybe even that sensation of lift and lightness through your left side body. Again, distract yourself from the pain that is the circle. That pain is real and normal. And it's you getting stronger. And good. Be done with that one. Draw the right foot in. Left leg is going to lift up with the inner thigh. And trying to control this movement. So nothing big and sharp, just whatever it is, half an inch off the floor, 2 inches off the floor, just keeping that movement consistent instead of jumpy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back down. Oh, all right. Break from the hips. Now we'll go into shoulders and upper body, generally upper body strength. So we're going to start with some palm lifts. I think I'll maybe face you for these first so you can see what my hands are doing, and maybe it's better from the side. You can always take some wrist stretches first before we do these. We'll start with quadruped position, your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees. If you've never done these before, these will be shockingly challenging. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting the heels of my hands and my thumbs up off the floor and lowering them down. Let's see if you can see better this direction. So lifting the heels of my hands up off the floor and lowering them down. All the rest of the fingers stay to the floor. They're just like pressing down into the floor. Come on my quad bed, trying to make this work for the camera, so just know that as you do these, you should really start to feel the muscles in the forearms fire up. Maybe just feeling weird stuff in your hands you're not used to feeling. Good. 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Then I'm going to come back onto my mat. And I'm going to try, let's see, I think you can see better if I go into my left forearm first. So I'm going to bring my left forearm down to the floor. And I'm going to keep on my right fingertips. My right fingertips are in line with my left elbow. Let's scoot a little forward. So my right fingertips are tented up on the floor, my left forearm is on the floor, my fingertips are in line with my elbow. I'm still pressing down to the fingertips of my left hand, and you can stay on your knees here. This is going to be a weird push-up. So I'm going to lower and push away from the floor. Lower and push away. So I've got basically one elbow going straight back, one elbow going out, very asymmetrical. 3, 2, 1. If you're not used to doing stuff on your fingers, you can always go flat palm. That takes a while to build that strength. Other side, right forearm down to the floor, left fingertips tented up in line with your right elbow. Still pressing through my right fingertips. I'm keeping my knees back a little bit so I have space, but I'm also squeezing my knees in together slightly for more support. And then I'm going to do some weird little push-ups here. So let's work your shoulders. Asymmetry will make it challenging. The pressure down through your fingertips might be very challenging. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then slide back up. Shake out the arms a little bit. Probably brought in some weird stuff you're not used to using in your arms. And then we'll just capitalize on that a little bit more so for some forearm plank. Now coming down to both forearms. So my forearms no wider than my shoulders. You can do a little like squeeze of your biceps and then bring your hands forward. That's usually a good way to set yourself up. And then tucking your toes and coming into the full plank position, nice and long through your spine so I can see in the camera. My butt's a little high, so I'm going to walk my feet back a little bit lower. I'm going to feel my inner thighs spiraling kind of back and up towards the ceiling slightly, pressing through the ball mounds of my feet. And my shoulder skin not contracting in, but protracting wide, almost wrapping around to the sides of my body, ribs pulled up and in, and lengthening out through the back of my tail. So I'm pulling in those points of my fronts and my hips. And looking forward just towards my thumbs. So in the position we were in before, we were kind of forced to use the muscles a little bit more in between the shoulder blades. And now we're going to capitalize on that and do that a little bit here too. So I'm going to rock forward and I'm going to slide back. And I did that mostly with my feet, but still created movement in my shoulders. My shoulders were over my elbows and then they went forward with my elbows. So that should really tap into some of the muscles right there in between the shoulder blades. If you find this very challenging, you can stay here or come down to your knees. Do the same thing with the knees and the floor. If you want more, you could rock forward like you're going to kiss your thumbs and come back. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, knees down. Reach out to your heels of your hands and lift your fingertips up off the floor, so kind of the opposite of what we were doing before. And press the floor away just with the heels of your hands. And then come down onto your forearms and draw your palms to each other. And reach your hands back. We'll stretch for the triceps. You can also do that seated. And then lift up through your elbows. And then we're going to come back up to standing. So, I'm going to do some lunges. I'm going to just, so you can see more of me. So for lunges, I'm just going to do, well, maybe I'll do this way. All right, hands to the hips, starting with the feet together. I'm going to step my right leg back, so I'm going to have to bend my left leg, keep the knee tracking over the ankle, press back through the ball mound of my right foot, and really press my right hip forward, and then come back up. I'm just going to do that a couple of times, kind of getting into rhythm and making sure I can feel that I'm landing where I want to land. After all the hip work we've done, this might be a little extra challenging, so trying to find some control over the movement, because then we're going to add on. So now I'm going to stay. I think I'll see you guys, see how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and I'm going to add a leg lift. All right, so I'm going to keep my hands at my hips. I'm going to step my right leg back, bend into my left leg, and then I'm going to pop up into basically bouncing stick and come forward and set the foot down. I'm going to set it back, shift the weight to the left leg, pop it up, and come down. Step it back, pop it up, and come down. 2 more. Last one like this. And then I'm going to shift it slightly. So I'm going to step it back. I'm going to bring my leg forward and then extend. Step it back. Bring my leg forward and then extend. 3 more. Step it back. Leg forward and then extend. 2 more. Last one. And you should definitely feel that in the standing hip. Okay, same thing on the other side. I'm going to step back with my left leg, bending into my right leg, pressing through the ball under my foot, then I'm pressing my weight forward, lifting up. That one I took a little veer to the side, so that's very common. Try to stay in that straight path if you can. Step back, knee tracking forward, lift off, and set it down. 3 more in this direction, step it back, lift it up, and come down, back, lift off, down, back, lift off, down, last one, back, lift off, down. Now we're adding that coming forward in between, so step back, step forward, then take the hinge. Step back, squeezing inwards when you step back, forward, lunge, or lift, lunge back, step forward, bring your body forward, 2 more, step back, forward, lift the leg up, last one, step back, forward, lift the leg up, and down. Okay, let me see. I think we're going to end just with a little bit more stuff to stretch out the legs, the leg work for today. So coming back down towards the floor, we'll bring our right leg forward, and coming into kind of a lunge here, so I'm stretching out the front of my hip. I need to adjust this again. So stretching the front of the right hip, and then we'll bring the arms up overhead. You can take the interlock grip if you like, but pressing the hips forward, really nice stretch to the front of the hip. This hip should feel like it's pulling back slightly as you square your hips. And we'll go over towards the left. So stretching even more the front of the right hip by adding the side stretch. Back toes can be tucked, or you can be flat through the back ankle, whatever you prefer. Go back up to the center, and option for a quad stretch. So you can bring your right hand to your knee, reach your left hand back to pick up your right foot. It's as easy, and curl in a lot, and press forward more. But still feel lifted up, kind of draw your knee towards your knee, so you're creating some engagement here, not just sinking into your joints. And then set that one down. Take a little stretch here underneath the left leg, send the left leg back, flex your left foot. Come forward and we'll do the other side. Left leg comes back, right leg comes forward, nice long stretch to the front of your left hip. Again, try to find the hips even. So notice if your left foot wants to go out to the side, try to keep it either tucked, particularly if you know it likes to cheat, or nice and flat. And then lifting away here, arms come up, whatever grip you'd like, and we'll take a stretch over towards the right. The back bend, still everything in. But lengthening on the left side of the body, should feel more stretch in the psoas. On your left hip, left the back of your neck. Slightly pulling your right hip back as you stretch your left hip forward. Inhale back up to the center, and then option for the quad stretch. Left hand comes to the knee, right arm reaches back. Pick up the foot, you can double up your mat if this is too much pressure on your knee, or if this is easy, pressing more forward, but also pulling the knees in so you feel that you're kind of lifting away from the floor versus just sinking into that space. And let go. Send the hands to frame the right leg, or you can also use blocks. You don't have to sit back anyway, just finding stretch, flex your toes all back towards you, square your hips, lengthen underneath your right leg. And come back up. Done for today. Good job.